Jerry Seinfeld dated a high school student, meeting her when she was 17.
And how long?
9 years, 180 episodes.
You gave it up, right?
I did, sir.
They didn't cancel you. You canceled them.
You're not aware of this?
No, I'm asking you.
You think I got canceled? I thought that was pretty well documented.
Is this
still CNN?
Don't most shows go down a little?
Most people do also. But... Yeah, no.
You might think that Jerry Seinfeld, being one of the rare mainstream comedians who's made it big without leaning on obscenities or S-jokes, would be too nice to throw shade. But the star of TV's most famous show about nothing has definitely had his moments over the years.
And rollerblading, Seinfeld and Shoshana Lonstein became tabloid regulars and Howard Stern fodder.
Indeed, since rising to fame in the 1980s stand-up circuit, Seinfeld has taken public shots at everything from animated kids' movies and chart-topping pop divas to New York comedy club owners and talk show royalty. And there's one fellow comic whose mere mention can make this proud New Yorker seriously angry.
Oh, I got your coffee.
Oh, here, let me,
Nah, it's on me.
Seinfeld can even outdo the RuPaul's Drag Race crew when it comes to throwing shade. From questionable choices in his dating life to taking credit where it wasn't due, he's done some shady things. These incidents might make you see the Seinfeld star in a whole new light and have even led people to compare him with Diddy. So, what did he do that was so serious?
It's men and women. This is about men and women.
You just called me honey.
Jerry Seinfeld fancied himself a bit of a Roger Ebert in 2014 when he took to Twitter to review that year's premiere animated movie based on children's building blocks. But instead of giving a thumbs up or thumbs down, the funny man seemed more interested in questioning its source material. Seinfeld actually accused the Lego Movie of stealing one of his jokes. He tweeted, "I think Lego Movie stole my Superman has issues with Green Lantern bit from Amex Seinfeld and Superman webisode. Anyone else catch that?" He then added, "I'm glad they did. It was a fun bit. #Lego my material." Another comedian soon joined the conversation with his own unique brand of reassurance. Ricky Gervais replied, "I know how you feel. Schindler's List stole a lot of my early stuff. You were so edgy then." Though Seinfeld later claimed that he enjoyed the Lego Movie. He couldn't resist a final bit of shade, adding, "A story would have been a nice added touch though." You probably wouldn't catch Jerry Seinfeld blasting TikTok or We Are Who We Are while driving around with comedians. In fact, the star publicly snubbed Kesha several times before claiming he had no idea who she was. The drama unfolded in 2017 at the Kennedy Center during the National Night of Laughter and Song. While Seinfeld was being interviewed by 94.7 Fresh FM DJ Tommy McFly, superfan Kesha interrupted to ask for a hug. "No thanks," Seinfeld replied, and Kesha was equally unsuccessful on her next two attempts.
Because people are tired most of the time.
Kesha, I love you so much.
Oh, thanks.
Can I give you a hug?
No, thanks.
Please?
No, thanks.
A little one.
Yeah, no, thanks.
After Kesha finally got the hint, Seinfeld added further insult by telling McFly, "I don't know who that was." Despite backlash from Kesha's fans, Seinfeld remained unrepentant in a chat with Extra, explaining, "I don't hug a total stranger. I have to meet someone, say hello. I gotta start somewhere. I'm 63. I don't know every pop star. I don't know everyone." BuzzFeed learned the hard way in 2014 that asking Jerry Seinfeld about race is a risky move. During a segment for CBS This Morning, a reporter questioned why most of the guests on his show, Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee, were white men. To say Seinfeld was not amused is an understatement. Seinfeld fired back, "It really pisses me off. People think comedy is the census or something. It's got to represent the actual pie chart of America. Who cares? It's just funny. Funny is the world that I live in. You're funny, I'm interested. You're not funny, I'm not interested. I have no interest in gender or race or anything like that. To me, it's anti-comedy. PC nonsense." The press didn't take kindly to his refusal to discuss the matter. This wasn't the first time Seinfeld faced criticism for a lack of racial awareness. In 1998, the Los Angeles Times noted that the black community had little interest in the Seinfeld finale, citing the almost total absence of characters on the New York-based sitcom. In the 1990s, only one sitcom could rival Friends as the decade's biggest hit, and according to its leading man, Seinfeld played a significant role in the Central Park Gang's monumental success. Lisa Kudrow recalled meeting Jerry Seinfeld at a Hollywood party in a chat with the Daily Beast. "I said hi, and he said, 'You're welcome.' I said, 'Why? Thank you.'" What? The actor, who famously played Phoebe Buffay in Friends, explained that Seinfeld was referring to the fact that reruns reruns of the first season of Friends were scheduled after the ratings juggernaut Seinfeld that summer. Initially, the early adventures of Ross, Rachel, and the rest had garnered solid but unspectacular ratings when following Mad About You. However, when the show was re-aired after the 6th season of Seinfeld, its popularity skyrocketed. Kudrow is more than happy to acknowledge this boost, not to take anything away from the writing on Friends or the cast, or how good Friends really was, but the first season our ratings were just fine. S and the City favorite Kristin Davis may have gone on to be part of one of sitcom world's most iconic quartets, but back in 1997, the prospect of being beamed into 38 million homes was understandably daunting for the young actor, and her co-star at the time didn't exactly put her mind at ease. Davis first appeared on Seinfeld in the episode The Pothole, playing Jerry's girlfriend Jenna. After having to go through 6 different auditions just to get the small role, she was understandably nervous about filming in front of a live studio audience. In an interview with Today, she recalled how Jerry Seinfeld made things worse. Right before action, Jerry leans over and whispers, 38 million. And I'm like, what? And he says, 38 million people watching. What are you doing to me? I was like, I can't function like this. He just felt that was so funny, Davis added. And so every time he had a chance, he'd be like, 38 million, oh. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm so nervous. So that's how Jerry found his fun, scaring the guest stars to death. Davis can't have been too scarred by the experience, though, as she accepted a one-off return to the sitcom several months later in the episode The Butter Shave. She shared, I was just so excited to get to go back and be on the set. I was like, yes. Jerry Seinfeld may have enjoyed one of his biggest recent successes through a show that began on the web, but the Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee star doesn't have much time for those who find fame solely via the online world. While appearing at an upfront event for the streaming service Crackle in 2015, Seinfeld was asked about his views on video sharing platforms, and he didn't mince his words. According to The Hollywood Reporter, he said, "The less there is, the better. I don't want to see this crap. We have a giant garbage can called YouTube for user-generated content. We're trying to generate a little higher level." Seinfeld argued that show business should only be for those with discernible talent and still considers himself at the top of its pyramid. He also claimed that his web series is far superior to anything else out there. People don't expect quality programming online, and we feel like we're ahead of a lot of places. You can be in the same world as cat videos and still deliver a great demo for the advertiser. Jerry Seinfeld and Jessica Sklar seem to have one of the more stable marriages in Hollywood, but their beginnings were quite tabloid-worthy. Sklar had just walked down the aisle with someone else when she began falling for Seinfeld. The pair first met in 1998 at Manhattan's Reebok Sports Club, where Sklar was working out. Seinfeld was instantly smitten and asked her out, apparently unaware that she just returned from her honeymoon with Eric Nederlander. Sklar initially rebuffed his advances. "I told him I didn't think this was the right time for me to be involved with anybody," she later wrote in a New York Times piece. But they continued to stay in touch, and eventually she came clean about her married life. Within 2 months, Sklar filed for divorce, describing her marriage to Nederlander as irreparably broken. Soon after, she began publicly dating Seinfeld. Understandably, Nederlander was furious when he saw images of them kissing. He told the New York Post, "I was manipulated, misled, and completely caught off guard by Jessica's infidelity. Jerry and Jessica have no respect for decent values. They deserve each other." What surprised people even more was that a 38-year-old Jerry Seinfeld started dating a 17-year-old. As well as romancing a newly married woman, Seinfeld's questionable relationship history also involves dating a 17-year-old when he was nearly 40. In 1993, the funny man began dating Shoshana Lonstein, a teenager 21 years his junior, after they met on a bench in Central Park.
A girlfriend's life revolves around home. They got homework, homeroom, and they want to run away from home and live with their 38-year-old celebrity boyfriend.
In May 1993, Jerry Seinfeld spotted a young woman in New York City's Central Park who caught his eye, and he asked for her phone number. That young woman was 17-year-old Shoshana Lonstein. Despite Seinfeld initially downplaying the relationship, saying they only went to a restaurant, it quickly became more serious. Later that year, Seinfeld visited Lonstein at George Washington University, and she made frequent trips to Los Angeles, where he lived while filming Seinfeld. Lonstein even transferred to UCLA to be closer to him. However, their relationship ended in 1997. According to Lonstein, she wanted more freedom to run around and play, while Seinfeld was immersed in his demanding work schedule, working 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Seinfeld insists that their relationship didn't turn S until a year later, around the same time he was grilled by shock jock Howard Stern on his show. So, you sit in Central Park and have a candy bar on a string and pull it when the girls come? Asked the host. The comedian argued that Lonstein wasn't as young as everyone thought, adding, "She's not 17. Definitely not." Seinfeld was similarly defensive when the subject was brought up in a chat with people. "I am not an idiot. Shoshana is a person, not an age. She is extremely bright. She's funny, sharp, very alert. We just get along. You can hear the click." He later told Playboy, per cheat sheet, "When I like someone, I don't care about her race, creed, or national. If I like her, I don't care. I don't discriminate. If she's 18, if she's intelligent, that's fine." Seinfeld went on to reveal that the pair nearly married, but Lonstein's desire to carve out her own career appeared to drive a wedge between them, and that is why people have enough reasons to compare him with Diddy, as he is also involved in mistreating young artists. Everyone is aware of the alleged ordeal Usher went through and the things Diddy allegedly made him do, but not enough attention is given to the challenges 15-year-old Justin Bieber reportedly faced as well. In this video, we'll discuss the latest rumor suggesting that Justin has revealed how Diddy reportedly mistreated him. But first, let's start from the beginning.
There was a time where I was sipping lean, I was popping pills, I was doing Molly, shrooms, everything.
Sean Puffy Combs, a veteran in the music industry with a career spanning over 3 decades, has long been associated with rumors of hosting all-men parties. There are claims that Diddy spent an extended 48 hours with Justin Bieber when the pop sensation was still a teenager. Given Diddy's controversial past involving teenage boys, concerns have been raised about his interactions with Justin. Reports suggest that Diddy showcased a Ferrari to Justin and made promises of allowing him to drive it once he turned 16, despite Justin being only 15 at that time. Additionally, there are allegations that Diddy offered Justin a mansion, supposedly available to him when he turned 18.
Yeah, so as soon as you turn 16, you know what I'm saying, I'm gonna let you rock this every time you come to LA. Yeah, this will be yours. So every time you come to LA, it's a little dusty.
It's important to note that there is currently no concrete evidence supporting these allegations, but they do raise questions about Diddy's motivations behind lavish gifts and interactions with young celebrities like Justin Bieber. Speculation suggests that these actions may have been aimed at involving Justin Bieber in potentially age-inappropriate activities. This underscores the necessity of proper parental guidance for young celebrities, particularly in potentially vulnerable situations. Additionally, Usher's subsequent relationships with older men, such as Carl Lentz, have also prompted inquiries. In November 2020, Vanity Fair reported that Pastor Carl Lentz, a well-known religious figure associated with the celebrity-frequented Hillsong Church, was terminated. Jaguar Wright seems committed to exposing any concerning activities involving Justin Bieber and Jaden Smith, even implicating the parents of these rappers in her revelations. However, if you thought that was the conclusion of the story, hold on, because there are rumors circulating that Will Smith collaborated with Diddy in perpetrating such acts.
It's kind of MIA, and considering that he emancipated from their household at 16 and refused to come back even to do family interviews.
But people believe that Jerry has outdated Diddy. One person wrote, "It always grossed me out so bad how he felt insulted when Larry King made sure Jerry was not canceled. His reaction was so ugly." Another one added, "What's crazy to me is that these things and were in the open in plain sight for everyone to see back in the 90s and no one batted an eye." Gross. But Jerry did not stop here. Jerry Seinfeld sharply criticized James Altucher, owner of Stand Up NY Comedy Club, for his negative comments about New York City during the early stages of the pandemic. Altucher had declared on LinkedIn that New York was essentially dead, prompting Seinfeld's strong rebuttal in the New York Times. Seinfeld dismissed Altucher's decision to leave New York for Florida, confidently asserting, "This virus will eventually give up, just like you did. We're sticking with New York City, with or without your approval. It will undoubtedly revive, thanks to resilient New Yorkers who, unlike you, cherish and understand it." Furthermore, Seinfeld disagreed with Altucher's belief that all New York businesses could operate remotely, arguing that energy, attitude, and personality are not things easily conveyed through digital means. In a somewhat personal jab, Seinfeld even commented on the state of Altucher's comedy club, suggesting it could use some improvement, while sarcastic sarcastically noting, "You can handle it from Miami, I'm sure." In essence, Seinfeld's response was a passionate defense of New York City's enduring spirit and resilience, contrasting sharply with Altucher's pessimistic view and decision to relocate. Jerry Seinfeld inadvertently started an online guessing game in 2019 when he called out a fellow undisclosed comedian on an episode of Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee. The funny man was interviewing Bridget Everett at the time, and when she brought up a friend, Seinfeld instantly revealed his dislike of him. "I don't like him," the comedian said about the man whose name had been bleeped, while Everett looked like she'd wished the ground would swallow her up. At all. In fact, I have a particular feeling about him. I had kind of forgotten about him." And then there was a little article about him in the paper, and even in that, there was a veiled reference to his dislike of what I did. "He used to rail against me because they weren't as wild and dangerous as he was, because he sucked." Internet sleuths subsequently did their thing and concluded that the man who'd incurred Seinfeld's wrath was Bobcat Goldthwait. Apparently, their beef stems from way back in 1994 when Goldthwait appeared on The Arsenio Hall Show. The subversive comic described Seinfeld as a spooky, weird Scientologist guy banging teenage girls. In 2010, Jerry Seinfeld publicly criticized Lady Gaga for her behavior at a New York Mets baseball game. Gaga had garnered attention for wearing a bikini top and bottoms while gesturing obscenely towards photographers. Seinfeld, who had paid for a corporate box at Citi Field, expressed his displeasure with the situation during an interview with WFAN Radio and the New York Post. Seinfeld bluntly called Gaga a jerk and expressed disbelief that she was moved into his box after complaining about the press nearby. He questioned the message this sent. "You give people the finger and you get upgraded? Is that the world we're living in now?" Despite acknowledging Gaga's talent, Seinfeld couldn't comprehend why she felt the need to resort to such provocative tactics. He critiqued the notion that all publicity, even negative attention, was beneficial for one's career, stating, "I'm not one of these all publicity is good people. People talk about you need exposure. You could die of exposure." Seinfeld's comments reflected his frustration with what he perceived as inappropriate behavior and the shifting norms in public behavior and celebrity culture. Joe Rogan has called out Jerry for his weird behavior. Jerry Seinfeld, the world's most recognizable comedian, and Joe Rogan, the biggest podcaster globally, seem like a natural fit for each other's shows. Seinfeld hosted Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee, and Rogan often features comedians on his podcast, yet they haven't appeared on each other's shows.
You know what? Inside of the stand-up comedy scene, the Joe Rogan is like the jock side. Remember I was saying this, like there's like, it's mostly white guys in comedy. And it's like two halves. There's the artsy side and there's the jock side.
This is one of the most intriguing non-feuds in entertainment. There seems to be tension, but oddly, there's no actual conflict. It's a strange dynamic, but essentially, Jerry Seinfeld doesn't find Joe Rogan funny, while Joe Rogan admires Seinfeld. Recently, Tim Dillon discussed this on JRE, sparking more interest in the topic.
That's why I always like Jerry Seinfeld, because he goes, "I like things." Like he does this speech he did at the Clio, these advertising awards. He got one of them. And he does this whole thing. It's so brilliant.
Jerry hasn't appeared on JRE yet, despite being on other major shows. The reason? Their worlds are colliding. To understand, let's rewind to when these comedians were starting out. Many of them, including Jerry, emerged from the Comedy Store in West Hollywood, owned by Mitzi Shore. This legendary club, pivotal since the 70s, shaped the careers of countless comics, Jerry included. Mitzi Shore used the Comedy Store to nurture comedians, helping them refine material and attract industry attention. She personally selected comedians she favored and managed scheduling herself. However, Mitzi never warmed to Jerry Seinfeld. Jerry himself acknowledges this, noting Mitzi disliked him instantly because he was fiercely independent, an approach that didn't fit her preference for comedians she saw as wounded or broken-winged birds. Jerry's comedy style, always polished and accessible, lacked the darkness and deeper struggle that Mitzi often favored in comedians.
Say I love you because then you wouldn't be a comic.
Oh my God. You're a science project.
She used to lock me in the back bedroom.
I can't say I love you because then you wouldn't be a comic. Wow.
Jerry never conformed to Mitzi's preferences, which allegedly led to her banning him from the Comedy Store. Their relationship was contentious, marked by their differing views on comedy. Only after Mitzi's passing did Jerry return to the Comedy Store, an experience he described as quite wild and possibly nostalgic.
I saw her throw a few people out of there. I knew she threw Jerry Seinfeld out of there.
Really? Yeah.
He was on there last week. He came for the store.
Yeah, he came again. I remember the time.
On the flip side, Joe Rogan had a different trajectory at the Comedy Store. He emerged as one of Mitzi Shore's proteges, essentially becoming a fixture there. Rogan often speaks proudly of his roots at the Comedy Store and his close ties to Mitzi, highlighting how integral the club was to his career development.
When he comes, his whole body just erupts.
Jerry Seinfeld and Joe Rogan indeed represent different ends of the comedy spectrum. Seinfeld is known for his clean comedy style, preferring humor that doesn't rely on swearing or explicit content. He believes that jokes should stand on their own merit without needing such elements for laughs, making his comedy more accessible to a broader audience. On the other hand, Joe Rogan's comedy often includes explicit language and edgier, sometimes darker themes. His approach is more raw and uncensored, reflecting his personal style and appeal to a different audience. Regarding their opinions of each other's comedy, Jerry Seinfeld has expressed on his show, Comedians in Cars Getting Coffee, that he prefers to feature comedians he personally finds funny. While he hasn't explicitly stated his opinion on Joe Rogan's comedy, the implication is that Rogan's style may not align with Seinfeld's personal comedic tastes.
I pretty much engage with funny people or weird people, or, you know, kind of off people. Anybody who's a little normal, even just like, let's say, a normal actor or actress, I'm lost.
Over 11 seasons spanning 84 episodes, his show has featured an impressive roster of comedy giants, including Larry David, Ricky Gervais, Alec Baldwin, Eddie Murphy, and Sebastian Maniscalco. A veritable who's who in the comedy world. Notably absent, Joe Rogan. That's it for today. See you in the next video. Until then, goodbye.